All right, Unit 5, Video 2, combining like terms with polynomial, otherwise known as simplifying polynomials. Terms can be combined only if, and I can't stress that enough, okay? In fact, we could give it a nice little color, only if they have the exact same variable part, which also includes the same exponent. That's often what students mess up, is they see an x with an x squared and they think they can combine them. So they must look exactly the same. So what I have down here is I have a different set of examples. So 4x and 3 are not like terms. They are not the same. 4x and 3y, not like terms. They are not the same. This has an x, that has a y. Not the same. 4x and 3x squared, not like terms, because that has an x all by itself, which technically is x to the power of 1, and this has an x squared. Okay, and then 4x and 3x are like terms, because they look exactly like that x with that x. And that's what we're talking about when we say look exactly alike. We're talking about the variable and the exponent. All right, once you have determined two or more terms are, quote, like terms and can be combined, you deal with them like you did in elementary school. When you learned 5 plus 6 was 11, we're going to do the same stuff, okay? So then I put down here, remember, quote, 5 apples and 6 apples is 11 apples. And you cannot add apples with oranges and get a higher number of apples or oranges, okay? Just does not work that way. All right, so the first example I asked you to do, I asked you to simplify this. So 3x plus 4x equals 7x. Not 7x squared, just 7x, okay? All right, we got a bigger problem. 2x squared plus 3x minus 4 minus x squared plus x plus 9. So one thing that I like to do is I like to put in color like terms. So there is a 2x squared. There's an x squared. There's a 3x, there's an x. And then there's a minus 4, there's a plus 9, okay? So I wanted to put my like terms in the same color blob, if you will. Now I'm going to actually write them in order so that I see that. So I have 2x squared minus x squared plus 3x plus x minus 4 plus 9. So all that I did in that step is I just wrote them side by side. Well, then my next thing is 2x squared minus x squared is an x squared, because I had 2 minus 1, and the x squared just stayed there. 3x plus x is a plus 4x, just like you did back in middle school. And then minus 4 plus 9 is a plus 5. So that would be your final simplified answer. That's where we go with this. Okay, new problem. 10x cubed minus 14x squared plus 3x minus 4x cubed plus 4x minus 6. So now I'm going to go ahead and organize them in like terms by color. Okay, so you see now I put my x cubed in green, I put my x squared in red, I put my regular x in blue, and I put my regular number in, that's a yellow color, okay? So I've now organized them by color, so now I'm going to write them side by side. Okay, so now I have them written side by side, I'm going to start combining them. Well, 10x cubed minus 4x cubed is a 6x cubed, okay? Minus 14x squared, there's nobody to combine with him, he's all alone. 3x plus 4x is a 7x, and then I started writing a plus, but really that's a minus sign, minus 6. So there's my simplified polynomial down all the way. All right, next problem says 25 minus, parentheses, x plus 3 minus x squared. And I wrote here, and I said the first thing you have to do is distribute the negative, or negative 1, through the parentheses before you can attack this problem. Okay, so you see that I've done that. I went ahead and I distributed this minus with the x, that made it a negative x, minus with the 3, that made it a minus 3, and the minus with the negative x squared, which changed that to a positive x squared. So now I'm going to combine my like terms. So there you can see I colored the like terms differently. So now I'm going to write them in order. And typically good math students go, okay, we always write them in descending exponential order. So that's why I have the x squared at the beginning, then the x, and then the other term. So now I'm going to simplify what I can simplify. And I get my most simplified version of this polynomial is x squared minus x plus 22. Okay, so now we have a problem that has a lot of grouping symbols. X plus 2 parentheses x minus bracket 3x minus 8 bracket plus 3 parentheses. So again, I put in here, remember order of operations. You need to simplify inside of your parentheses first. So as you see, my first step is to distribute that minus sign through the 3x plus 8, or 3x minus 8, which, I'm sorry, gives me negative 3x plus 8, which then when I go ahead and simplify that, I get inside the parentheses negative 2x plus 11. So the next thing is, it says now you can distribute the 2 through. Okay, so once I've done that, I get x minus 4x plus 22. And then the last thing you do is combine like terms, which in this case is just my x's, which gives you a final answer of negative 3x plus 22. That is the simplified version of that original problem. Okay, so this next problem looks really ugly, right? There's a lot of grouping symbols. There's on two sides of this. So again, take this problem and make it small. Just simplify as you go. Okay, so you see I just took out the parentheses where I could there, and then I distributed the minus sign through that 4x minus 5. Okay, so my next step, I simplified it inside my brackets. 6x minus 2x is 4x. They had nothing to combine with. 12x minus 4x is 8x. Negative 7 plus 5 is a negative 2. So then now I took away those brackets, but while I did that, I went ahead and distributed the negative through that, because that's what I have to do. So now I just need to combine like terms. And when I combine like terms and simplify it, I get negative 4x minus 6. So again, here's another really, really big problem that we're going to break it down into simple things, okay? So here we go. And if you notice in this particular problem, there was a plus sign on the outside of that parentheses, a plus sign on the outside of that bracket. So nothing changed inside there. I didn't have to watch out for the negative. So I just simply have it written out. Now I'm going to combine like terms. Okay, so inside here there was a lot going on, but I had the 3x and minus 2x and a minus 4x, which gave me negative 3x. I had a 3y plus 2y to give me 5y, and I had a negative 7 plus 5 to give me a negative 2. Now I am going to have to distribute a negative sign throughout this, which you see done there, negative 4y plus 3x minus 5y plus 2. So now I'm going to combine like terms, and we typically put our variables in alphabetical order for the final answer. So here we get 3x minus 9y plus 2 is our final simplified version. All right, so now we're getting into kind of looks like division, but we're just going to simplify when things are on top. We learned in our exponent rules how to do this with the variables, so that's all we're going to do. We're going to do this with our exponent rules, okay? Okay, so what I did over here is I simply wrote it out as 3 separate little problems. Sorry for the negative 5 being sloppy there. Okay, 3 separate problems is all I'm doing here. So I'm going to take them each separately. Okay, so yes, good old days, negative 27 over 9 is the same thing as negative 3 over 1. X to the 7th over x to the 4th is the same thing as x to the 7th minus 4, which is x cubed. And y to the negative 5th over y to the positive 3 is the same thing as y to the negative 5 minus 3, which equals y to the negative 8, which is the same thing as 1 over y to the 8th. So now we're going to put these all together for a final answer. And when I do that, I get negative 3 is on top, as you saw in that fraction. X cubed is on top, because it had no denominator there. And y to the 8th is on bottom. So my final answer is negative 3x cubed over y to the 8th. And this problem really is no different. The only thing is I need to deal with these from the start. So I'm going to have to distribute with that outside exponent before I do this problem. Okay, so first step is I have 2 to the 5th, x to the 20th, over 4 squared, x to the 6th. I'm going to go ahead and simplify those numbers. And the reason why I did that was because 32 can be divided by 16. So now I'm going to take it in my other step, which is 32 over 16, leaves me with a 2 on top. X to the 20th with an x to the 6th on bottom leaves me with an x to the 14th. So my final answer is 2x to the power of 14 for my final simplified version.